It was an interesting week 5 across the SEC. Some pretenders, some contenders, a whole lot to react to. This is our SEC Squad live reaction show on a Sunday.
You're talking ball with the SEC Squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC Squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC Squad.
And what is up, everybody? Welcome into our SEC Squad show as we're getting you guys, we're reacting to what we saw in SEC Week 5. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. Use across the app. Download the app today. Let's welcome in our squad that we have here today. We got Luke Robinson from Locked On Bama. We got Chris Marler, Locked On Gamecocks. We got Stephen Willis, Locked On Ole Miss. I'm Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC. We'll see if we have some of our other guys join us. And fellas, right off the bat, we are live across all of our SEC channels, except right when we went live, I just got an error that Locked On Bulldogs would not go live to their channel. So we will not have Georgia fans reacting in the comments. I don't know if this is a
sabotage. I'll speak for all of them.
Goodness gracious. But fellas, let's start there, because this was, we hyped it up last week as the game of the week, and I just kept saying, man, like, Georgia doesn't lose at home. They, in this Kirby Smart team, the defense didn't look great a couple weeks ago against Tennessee, but I just thought at home they're going to look a lot better. We know how Kalen DeBoer has struggled on the road at Alabama for the most part in his tenure there. But, man, when you got somebody's number, Luke, it's mental with Kirby. When he sees that crimson color coming, he forgets football.
Well, I don't know about forget football, but there is just something. It's an aura. That's what I love about sports. That's the only thing that's left. We've got analytics out the yin yang, right? We can say, who does what, when, and how you're supposed to do it, and the percentage is this. But I love the intangible, the mojo, the weirdness about sports that you just can't explain. For some reason, Georgia just has an Alabama problem, and frankly. And I'm not trying to play the if Colt hadn't gotten hurt card, but Alabama had their two best wide receivers, two really good NFL wide receivers that got hurt in the national championship game and weren't available. And had they been there, Alabama probably wouldn't have lost to Georgia. So I'm just saying that for whatever reason, Georgia has a Bama problem. It doesn't mean Georgia's not good. Georgia's really good. I thought Kirby handled it awesomely, by the way. I want to say that. Kirby went on his press conference and said, some snarky little reporter. By the way, there's been a lot of those lately. He said something like, "Hey, you're 1-7 against Bama. Well, what's the deal with that?" And he was like, "Oh, okay. What's everybody else's record against them?" And you know what? He's absolutely right. It's not the most embarrassing thing in the world. He's still the coach that won back-to-back national championships and is a perennial playoff contender. Alabama's just really good too. And for whatever reason, Alabama does have their number. And we can talk about Kalen DeBoer's road woes all we want to, but after off weeks, he's pretty doggone good.
Marler, you want to jump in here?
Guys, it's been 4 minutes. I haven't been yelled at by anybody on the squad show, so happy to be here.
Shut up, Marler.
Yeah, let me talk.
You gotta say it. You gotta say it at least 7 more times. For text. So the Kirby thing is interesting. I think Luke is right and wrong a little bit here. Maybe not wrong, but like right. And then also I'll push back on a couple things. The thing with Kirby is that there's something that happens to him whenever he faces Bama. That defense was playing well enough in the second half, kick the field goal and tie it up, and you probably think you can probably get the ball back, win the game. Because that's the point, is to win the game. And I don't think he does that against everybody. He said he's like, that 4th and 1 call, hindsight's 20/20, whatever. But the idea that you were running the ball for 7 yards a carry. You put in a 4th string running back who had seen no action during the game. You hand him the ball. Let's also keep in mind that on 4th and goal from the 3 or something like that earlier in the game, he went for it then too and threw the football, which was shocking to me because, again, you were running the football down Bama's throat at times. And the moment Nate Frazier fumbled, he came out of the game. They were still fine with the backup in there. I just that last play call was odd. You had no answers for Kalen DeBoer in the first half of this game. Alabama deserves a ton of credit here. They have outcoached Kirby Smart and his defensive staff for 2 years in a row. And I tell you what, this idea, Georgia is quick when it comes to Bama. Georgia is quickly becoming Penn State, because every year we talk about this. I'm guilty of it too. Every year we sit here and say Bama's going to go in there and lose to Georgia. Blah 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 blah. Penn State's going to win the national championship. They're going to go beat Ohio State. It's a whiteout, whatever. It's a blackout in Athens. Alabama went in there and absolutely dominated them in parts of the game that Georgia is not used to being dominated at. They were more creative. They were better. They were better coached. They had less penalties. I don't know what else Robinson's was doing. I can go on and on and on, and I probably will at some point during the show. That was an incredible win for Kalen DeBoer.
Let me add something. First of all, you're absolutely right about the rushing. They were only averaging 7 yards a carry. You know why? Because a couple of times they only had to run 1 yard for a touchdown.
Right.
They would have about 14 yards a carry.
Look, you've seen them play though, were you not impressed with how much better coached that this Bama team looked on the road, especially? Because that's been the problem.
100%. And in fact, the D is getting killed. I mean, they were getting killed all during the game by people online and everywhere. Yeah. But in the end, they only gave up 7 points. Now, offense didn't score. It was like the offense said, we did everything we could do in the first half. Now we need y'all just to not screw it up. And the defense didn't screw it up. I mean, there's a positive. I also want to add one more thing. The targeting call on James Smith makes me so irate. It's so dumb. I can't believe how dumb that was. And then to top it off, when Ellis Robinson went Jimmy Superfly Snuka on top of a pile, yes, he got an unsportsmanlike. But you know what? He targeted. He led with his head. He was a human cannonball, and we don't call that. And meanwhile, in the Penn State-Oregon game, some guy's neck got pushed back like Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, and nobody called anything. I'm so tired of this crappy targeting rule.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's absolutely nuts what's going on with that. And also, this game, I shouldn't have picked against Alabama last week. I shouldn't, because Kalen DeBoer and Alabama, they win games against top 10 opponents. Their problem will be when they go to Williams-Brice or something like that. That's their problem at the moment. But Alabama looked really good. Ty Simpson is having the year that I thought he would have.
Yeah.
And he is starting to put it together. And honestly, does he look a little bit like when Michael Penix was playing at Washington? He's just dealing the ball right. It's really interesting to see exactly his development, because he has been at the top of the SEC in quarterbacking this year.
What I thought was so interesting, fellas, is Alabama was the aggressor at the start of this game. Like, they came out going, we're dictating the tempo of this game. And I was like, holy crap, what is happening here? And Georgia was stood around looking at each other like, what's happening? That said, second half, I thought Georgia's defense stepped up. They started making plays. They shut out Alabama in the second half. They didn't score a point in the second half, Alabama, but it wasn't needed. The first half lead was enough. And man, if you're a Georgia fan, there's so many plays. Like, a lot of people in the comments are talking about the wide open touchdown that is dropped. But even the Cass Jones shoestring tackle, if he keeps his balance there, he's probably going into the end zone for a touchdown. But again, Bama made the plays when they needed it.
And Gordy, I tell you what, if you cover Devontae Smith on 2nd and 26, you probably win that game. If you don't fake punt to Justin Fields on 4th and 11 from your 50, you probably win that game. Like, this happens over and over and over again. And I think that Georgia fans finally get it. I think that Georgia fans finally get it, because this is the first time I've woken up and got on Twitter after this kind of game and not seen a bunch of still shots of bad holding calls that weren't called, anything like that. I think they finally had it beaten into their very thick skulls that, like, this is what happens every time you play them. I will also say I love what Steven said, and I cannot wait to get to his game, because he's just sitting over there. So just the calm. I'm so excited for you, dude. I'm so excited for this. But the thing with DeBoer as well, he brings up a great point. I think Vandy being ranked is huge, because all of DeBoer's losses keep coming to these unranked teams. And then you look at the wins. Like, I mean, Kalen DeBoer is now 16-3 against top 25 opponents. He is also 7-1 against top 10 opponents. That's an incredible job. They just have to figure out a way to keep that focus next week against. I said this is a joke a couple weeks ago, but it was barely a joke. You had to feel almost more confident they could go beat Georgia then that they could go beat Georgia and then beat Vanderbilt, because they have Georgia's number. And Vandy, man, I tell you what, and just last thing on Kirby's response, look at all the other teams. Vanderbilt, Louisiana Monroe, and Georgia all have the same amount of wins against Alabama since November of 2007. So,
hey, one more weird stat: dropped passes in that game. Ryan Williams 1, Caden Proctor none. How about that?
That number 11 Georgia jersey is cursed for receivers, by the way.
Oh,
dude, that Caden Proctor play though, like, anybody want to go try to tackle that guy? Like, good God.
Well, you know what's beautiful about that? You talk about big man touchdowns, and usually it's like on a defensive lineman picking up a fumble and going, Jonathan Allen in 2015, was it 15 against Ole Miss, or 2016 against Ole Miss? And, that's all awesome. This was set up for Caden Proctor, and how about a week for him where they talk about his weight loss? I mean, all he had to do was floss his teeth and lose 10 pounds, but he gets down to 359 pounds. His goal weight was 360, and then they give him this opportunity, and they put all this trust in him, and man, it's just fun. And no, Nick Saban wouldn't do that. He did sort of do it one time against LSU when we threw it to a lineman, but that was more Lane Kiffin than Nick Saban. And I think that this team's just going to be different. It's going to have some weird plays where we give it to Jeremy Bernard, and then Jeremy Bernard throws it 2 yards to Isaiah Horton for a first down. It's not the best gimmick play you've ever seen, but it was pretty fun.
I agree.
Yeah, by the way, we're getting it in the comments. It was announced this morning, College Game Day is heading to Tuscaloosa next week for the Vanderbilt game.
We live in?
And it's crazy because
Corey, blow it out, Corey.
Here's what I heard from some folks behind the scenes. They were going to Tallahassee for FSU Miami until Florida State lost to Virginia in overtime on Friday night. And then I heard Houston versus Texas Tech this coming week, both undefeated, was kind of in the waiting if Bama was going to lose to Georgia. If Bama lost to Georgia, they weren't going to Tuscaloosa. But because Bama beat Georgia, they held out, waited for that one, and they got Vanderbilt. A College Game Day is going to a game Vanderbilt is playing.
So what you're saying is because Alabama was able to win a game, they were able to keep Vandy was able to get game day. So it wasn't because of Vandy getting game day. It was an Alabama win that did it.
It's part of that. 5-0 since I think 2008. I think the last time Vanderbilt was 5-0. So
it's a great story, but I'll say it. I think Bama's probably the sell here for game day.
Oh, but get ready. There will be, the Diego Pavia storyline. It's going to be. But guys, I said this after week one, and again, this is why you don't overreact to what you see in a first week. Look, 5 days ago, I had LSU playing Georgia in the SEC title game. 5 days later, look at where, it's like, now, does anybody feel good about that pick? But everybody overreacted to Bama week one and the loss at Florida State and Ty Simpson. I just said, look, I talked to Ty Simpson at the Manning Passing Academy. So I was like, the kid's there. He's the leader. He's going to play. He's going to have good football ahead of him. And he came back home, and I get it was Louisiana Monroe and a bad Wisconsin team, but he got his confidence back. He got his swagger. You saw the chemistry. And I hoped on week one, not having Jam Miller hurt. And he wasn't great yesterday, but he made some nice plays.
Jam Miller picked up blitzes really well. Jam Miller caught the ball when he needed to. Jam Miller, you know what he did? All he did was, he had like 12 carries. He had like 40 something yards, but they were all important. Yeah. He just made things happen. He is sort of the heart and soul of this team, and having Tim Keenan back helped a lot too. The problem is apparently Quay Russaw broke his foot, and he's going to be out a little bit. That
sucks. Yeah. Also, Jam Miller, biggest play of the night. Lead blocker for Caden Proctor on that screen pass.
That's so insane, man. Like, what a great play. And by the way, Ryan Grubb deserves some love too. I thought
that last play.
I also love the fact that you had guys like Desmond Howard's like, Alabama does not want to throw the ball 40 times to win the game. And then you look at like the numbers with Grubb and DeBoer together, and that's exactly what their quarterbacks have averaged. And it's a great win. I'm not the host, but we got to get Steven going here.
Well, hang on. Let's do this real quick. We'll do a quick this thing. And we want to let you guys know about our friends over 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots. deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What we love most, how portable they are. When Marler's heading to a tailgate or Luke Robinson's heading to a meeting at the YMCA, he can take it anywhere he goes to get that boost when you need it. Grab the 5-hour energy. Enough with the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-hour energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Again, might be heading to college game day this weekend. You're going to need it. Long weekend in Tuscaloosa coming up with 5hourenergy.com.
I've
Sorry,
had
Luke.
3.
Couldn't think of a meeting on where Luke might be going. Luke, have you ever been to a YMCA?
Yeah, I mean, I used to. There was a YMCA when I used to play basketball about 30 years ago. I mean,
Okay.
I tried to go out and shoot basketball this morning, and it's just not. I mean, old man at the gym just isn't looking good. I mean, it's just not. No matter what I do, it just doesn't
There's
work.
something old man in the locker room, and everyone here knows exactly what I'm talking about. If you've been to
I know they're not an advertiser, but those progressive commercials with trying not to be like your parents, the best ever. It's the best ever.
I imagine Luke going through the lane at a pickup game at the YMCA looking like Caden Proctor, just bulldozing through everybody.
Who told you about me?
Right.
Well, Steven, let's get to your game. The other big game of the weekend, it was LSU at Ole Miss, and the Rebels win this one 24-19. And man, what a monster win for Lane Kiffin as the week went along. I think everybody was kind of jumping on the LSU bandwagon, saying this defense is legit. And I still think LSU's defense is really good. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss, had some good plays, had some bad plays, but the story of the game is LSU's offense. And whether it was what Ole Miss's defense did to them combined with they're just not very good right now, this is one that I think I predicted LSU to win 30-24. Guess what? Ole Miss was held to 24. It's just LSU's offense couldn't get to 30. What'd you make of the game, Stephen?
I thought it was interesting defensively that Ole Miss just rushed 3 every single play, and they did not get away from that at all. And also the fact that the last time a top 10 opponent came into Oxford, Mississippi, it was Georgia, and Lane Kiffin took care of that as well. Maybe this whole big game Lane thing that everybody liked to joke about, that can be get put to bed for the time being. I think offensively, listen, everybody was supremely confident about this game. LSU fans were supremely confident about this game. Ole Miss fans were supremely confident about this game. Both sides were almost uncomfortably confident about this football game. And what you saw is Lane Kiffin, he had this cat that ate the canary grin on his face all during the week, which means he found something against the LSU Tigers and the way to make that defense hurt. And what he found was what they were doing over and over on short yardage that led to 50% third down conversion and keeping long drives alive. If you didn't turn the ball over, you overcame double-digit penalties in this game. Ole Miss's offense didn't play particularly well. All week we heard this is going to be a D2 quarterback going up against an $18 million defense. This is a D2 quarterback going up against an $18 million defense. Well, maybe they thought it was D3. Maybe they just didn't know. Maybe they want a refund. Either way, Ole Miss dominated that game, and that score was very flattering to LSU.
I'm so happy for Steven. I mean, look at the confidence. He's sitting there he's sitting straight up. His posture's good. I love it, man.
He really is.
And you know what? Lane Kiffin this week, after that documentary, I think he became like a lovable character. There were a lot of people who still didn't like him for whatever reason, maybe thought he was cocky. I thought that documentary really showed sort of a softer side about him, and you just want to like the dude. And he's just out there having fun now. And Ole Miss is a fun team to watch. The Chambliss is a great story. And I mean, woe to the team that has to face Ole Miss in the future. I mean, kudos. They're really, really good.
Yeah, and one thing that's going to be interesting, Ole Miss has to go to Athens. They have to, in 3 weeks, go that way. They're not exactly setting the world on fire against the pass right now. I mean, that's not an unwinnable game, Georgia.
Yeah.
And then they have Oklahoma. I mean, you don't know about John Mateer. This is setting up right now, and it's early in the season, only 5 games into the season. I'm aware of that. But Jackson Dart left last year. Ole Miss went all in. This is kind of looking like the Tennessee T. Martin team a little bit.
Oh.
This might be Lane Kiffin's best team at Ole Miss. At least they're playing like that right now.
I like the Tennessee Hendon Hooker one as well, just because, remember Joe Milton was the guy who started that year. And Hooker came in, which is so wild to me that I don't know what they could have seen. But, yeah, dude, congrats on the win. Awesome win. And here's the thing that I think is scary for LSU fans that I haven't really seen admitted too much of. That is, this was not like this game wasn't as close as the score I think said it was. And you look at a couple things. Ole Miss had like 11 penalties or 9 penalties in the first half alone is the most I think in program history. They ended up with like 11. There were just whistles all day, really on both sides, but especially against Ole Miss. You had the fumble on the big pass play that they got down to like 2-yard line and fumbled in the end zone. I mean, this was very close to being a blowout in a lot of ways, where it's like, where at the very least, where LSU does not have a ton of, well, if this would have just gone our way, because a lot of things did go their way and they still weren't able to win. Tough environment on the road. They're down a starting tackle. Obviously, he gets injured in pregame. Obviously, Caden Durham. What I was most disappointed in from LSU is not the fact that they lost or that the defense got kind of shredded after what we'd seen from them the first 4 weeks. The lack of intent in the run game, I thought, was shocking, because Ole Miss came in and had, statistically, they had the worst run defense in the entire SEC, giving them like 190 yards per game. I understand Caden Durham's out. I understand they've struggled running the football. But in the first half, knowing that and knowing that they wanted to try and establish the run to an extent, at least that's what Brian Kelly said all week, they had 3 carries to their running backs for 14 yards. Like, at some point, why not try to be intentional with the run game? Xavier Thomas he got the start in the backfield. So I thought that was weird. And the other thing, too, is it's not a secret at this point. It feels like something is wrong with Garrett Nussmeier. I think, like, physically, I think he seems hurt. He's just not able to get the same amount of zip on balls. And then we saw some of that 2024 A&M game, Nussmeier reared its ugly head with some of the decision-making that he had. And I think I still think it's a very long season. LSU is a very good football team still, and the ceiling is still incredibly high because of like the talent on the roster. What a win, man. And again, Trinidad Chambliss is QB1.
It's over now. It's over now. It's just going to get weird in Oxford and what's going on. But Trinidad Chambliss, not only is he QB1, if he's not on Heisman list this week, I'd be surprised.
Well, the interesting part is the people who signed NIL deals with Austin Simmons. No ROI there. I'll push back a little bit. I thought there were plays, the pick 6 play that DJ Pickett had that could have made it 14-3. I get it. He pushed back. He was running it in. Trinidad was throwing it out. If he doesn't push the receiver to the ground and just takes the ball, it's a pick 6 and LSU's up 14-3. I think that changes the whole dynamic of how that game was going to play out the rest of the way. Again, Ole Miss made the play. To me, the key, the play of the game, really drive of the game, was that drive right before halftime.
Yeah.
For Ole Miss to push it to 10, the way LSU's offense was struggling, was massive. That was the difference maker, because LSU held them to 7 points in the second half? And then LSU was getting opportunity in the second half, but it was field goal. It's like, guys, you're down 10. You need 6. 3s aren't gonna get you back in this game. You need 6. And so, but again, the big play of the game was Lane Kiffin, and I just caution people, because it was very Lane Kiffin. The end of the game, it's 4th down. He goes for it. They get it. But if that backfires, and you're giving LSU the ball at around midfield? Again, I like the faith and confidence in your team, but against a good team, that's going to cost Lane.
Let me say this.
Wait, real quick. Ole Miss ran that play 4 times against LSU, and it worked every single time. And not only that, the receiver was wide open.
Wide open. That's the biggest receiver in the history of football, by the way.
And let me say this.
Proctor.
Let me say this, that I disagree with you here. I think Ole Miss, given who they are, their history, the brand, and what they're on the precipice of, I think it's more important for them to be aggressive. Whereas for Georgia, they're established. They know what they're doing. Kick the damn field goal. Yeah. And then I think it's if Georgia goes for it, I think when they did, I thought it was a bad move, because only something bad could happen. And they were gashing Alabama, especially the play call. The play call was terrible. But Ole Miss, man, you're trying to make a move. You're trying to get up to that upper echelon. And how do you do that? you do a play like that, and you put confidence all in the whole program and in the culture.
See, I could be wrong, but Steven, were they in field goal range? Because they were just at the 34, right?
Long
Yes.
field goal.
The field goal kicker that Ole Miss has missed 150-yard field goal in his career. He's like 9 of 10. He is really, he's a Groza candidate. But what Lane Kiffin was scared of, and this is honest, and we've seen the weird Ole Miss LSU games in the past. What if it's a bad snap? What if it gets blocked and gets returned for a touchdown?
Yeah.
That is the reason they were a little bit worried about it. And this, if you just didn't get the first down, you actually saved 7 yards on it.
Yeah, I thought that was a
comment
really
up,
cool
Morty.
move
Yeah, it was good.
I thought it was a really good move by Lane. I thought it was awesome to see him put that kind of confidence in his player and in himself in the play call. I thought that was a really cool moment yesterday. I don't want to go back to this game at all. I just want to see your reaction when I bring this up. How about that field goal from Alabama yesterday? Did that land yet? Did that land yet?
Yeah. By the way, I would like to have some kickers try out, and I wouldn't be surprised if Lieutenant Dan comes out there and kicks our next field goal, because that field goal should have gotten a DUI. That ball is still rolling down to Alpharetta. I mean, Andy Papanastos called and goes, "What are you doing?"
I love that you brought up Lieutenant Dan, because just like Lieutenant Dan, LSU cannot run. So there's that.
Let me go back to LSU real quick, because I got to beat them up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We heard 2 weeks ago Brian Kelly say, Nussmeier's got this torso injury, but we just need to get him to the bye week. We just need to get him the bye week, and he's going to get fully healthy. Everybody's going, wait, you're playing Southeastern this week. How about you sit his ass, play Michael Van Buren, and get him ready for the Ole Miss game? But they don't do that. And I think this is them being selfish. I think this is the BS of, Nuss has got to win the Heisman. We got to get him stats. He can't take a week off. He's going to fall out of the Heisman race. Well, you just fell out of the Heisman race, my boy, because you sucked ass. And so after the game, they ask him about his injury. Hey, Nuss, are you healthy? I'm not going to answer questions about my health. Well, then it's one or the other. Either you're hurt, and that's a good excuse for you playing like crap, or you just suck ass now. And that's the reality is. Nuss was awesome last year, a 4,000-yard passer, and now he sucks. He's letting balls sail on wide-open receivers. He's laying receivers out to dry. He got Aaron Anderson hurt in this game because he threw a terrible interception, a triple coverage that could have been an easy 3 points at least. So I just
Chris Hilton. It should have been a touchdown.
Chris Hilton, not
the one in the sun, but the other one going in the shade.
So don't sidestep this crap, Brian Kelly and Garrett Nuss. Blah, blah, blah. You said 2 weeks ago he needed a week. You had a chance to give him a week. You didn't give him. Well, guess what? Now they get their bye. Now they're going to get their awesome bye. And guess what? We might see a healthy Garrett Nussmeier in the second half, but it cost you this game. And I heard some people saying maybe you should have given Michael Van Buren a drive or two just to see what he could do. Agree or not, or disagree. If Nussmeier's hurt and he's playing like that, you're not going to win football games. LSU's going to be a 3 or 4 loss team this year if you keep
especially their next game.
Hypothetical. What if Bryce Underwood had stuck with his commitment to LSU and not gone to Michigan? Would there be a QB controversy right now?
So if Bryce Underwood, I love this idea, but here's the thing about that. And I think the Bryce Underwood thing is such a massive win for LSU still. Not because of the quarterback play necessarily. I mean, keeping Nuss is a big deal, but the moment that he left is the moment that they decided to open up the checkbook and go get all those players. Like if Bryce Underwood leaves, you do not get Halsey, the safety, which is a huge pickup. You don't get to retain some of the talent. I get what you're saying. There probably would be a little bit. People would be screaming for him, Luke, for sure. And also Nussmeier might have gone pro.
In fairness, the guys that LSU bought in the portal all played great. I mean, AJ Halsey made a game-changing play they all played great. It's Anderson, the freaking star quarterback that is sucking ass for LSU and costing them games. Yeah. So again,
Brian Kelly is costing LSU games because Pete Golding completely did a clinic on the LSU offense. We're just going to rush 3. Run us out of it. Make us not doing it. And Sloan and Kelly kept throwing the ball to where
just run the ball.
That work. Just run the football.
At least show it. They showed the stat, and this is what pisses me off. Is I think you have to give a lot of credit to Ole Miss for sure, but LSU, they showed the stat. I think that Nussmeier was 10 of 11 to start the game in when they had 7 in coverage, which is still a ton. But the number when they had dropped 8 or more, which became the entire second half, it seemed, was it was pedestrian. You're Steven, you're 1,000% right. Like, it was shocking to me at how unwilling they were. You have Harlan Berry, former 5-star, Caleb
and
Jackson,
they finally ran.
They
finally ran Berry late, and he looked good. I'm like, why didn't you run that guy in the first half? This whole he's a freshman. This isn't 1942. We don't play freshmen. Like, he's your best damn healthy running back. Play his ass.
Yeah, the funny thing is like he looked good. He looked great. He averaged 3 yards a carry.
Oh, but for them, dude, that's like
that's the best running back. The only thing I'll say on this to close out this game, Steven, is I still don't think this defense is as talented as last year's Ole Miss defense. I think.
Oh no, it absolutely is not. But what this defense is smart, and the young pups that are playing on the defensive line that just are getting their first starts ever, and Cam Franklin and William Eccles are turning into dudes on that defensive line. By the end of the year, they're going to be a problem defensively, and they're going to get better and better over the course of the year.
And let's look at Ole Miss's schedule real quick. They get terrible Washington State. They get a bye week. Then they get terrible Washington State. Don't beat the crap out of them. They're at Georgia, which doesn't look as scary anymore. Mm-hmm. You're at Oklahoma, and that's a tough back-to-back. But then they're home against South Carolina, who they should beat. You play the Citadel, you play Florida, and then you're at Mississippi State. The Egg Bowl might be, outside of at Georgia and at Oklahoma, the Egg Bowl might be the game that stands between Ole Miss going 10-2 and making the playoff or not.
You're about to go to Narnia, Steven, the place you've never been, Atlanta.
It's going to be fantastic. All I know is at 8:00 last night, I was as happy as I could be thinking about this football season and what it could do. You know, this Ole Miss LSU game was the first time they've met undefeated since Billy Cannon's punt return.
Yeah.
First time that's happened. And Ole Miss, even though the game's in September, at least you get rid of some of those demons that every Halloween game that Ole Miss and LSU played, you had to watch that damn punt return.
I tell you what.
Every single time.
By 8 p.m. last night, I think I had drank all the Fireball in Baton Rouge. I'll tell you that right now, for a number of reasons, not because LSU lost.
Well, coming up, fellas, we're going to touch on some of the other big games. Tennessee surviving a scare in Starkville, and would you look at that? Auburn's 0-2 in the SEC. We'll discuss that coming up next. I'm trying to take a shot. Hey, want to remind you guys about our friends over at Quo. They used to be Open Phone. One of the tools that helps make a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you heard us talking about before, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. It's the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app on your phone or computer, so no more carrying two phones or relying on a landline. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at QUO.com/LockedOnCollege. That's QUO.com/LockedOnCollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, they will port them over at no extra charge. QUO, no missed calls, no missed customers. And look, guys, the NFL is about to get started here on this Sunday, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Again, you're playing fantasy football anyway. You're watching NFL games. You're watching the college games. They got all the big SEC games up there every week. If you're watching football anyway, look, it makes it even more exciting if you got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com, download the FanDuel app today, and get started.
I want to piggyback on that.
What's up? What you got?
Piggyback on FanDuel. It is a great deal. $5 wins you $300 in bonus bets. Do not start a joint betting account with your fiance or significant other, because the amount of arguments we've had over parlays in the last 24 hours has been unbelievable. And we've been winning. It's unbelievable. But definitely go to FanDuel. It's a great deal.
Man, I would a joint Facebook account. I wouldn't recommend anything joint, right, Luke?
This is way cooler.
Luke, you're muted. You're muted.
You know what? I'm famous for muting myself. It's the untangling of the joint stuff later on that's the problem. And I don't know how it is for a FanDuel account. I can tell you how it is for a checking account.
Where do you guys want to go next? You want to do Tennessee, Mississippi State, or Auburn?
No, I don't. I want to talk about South Carolina. There's no one from Tennessee or Mississippi State on the show.
Okay, well, let's do South Carolina. Monster win, 35-13. Seth McGowan scores the first touchdown of the game for Kentucky, and he throws a football. Lenore Sellers' grandfather, if you missed that story, he had to apologize after the game, but that would be the only touchdown Kentucky would score in this one, as Lenore Sellers in South Carolina called this a get-right game. It was a get-right game for the Gamecocks.
When is Kentucky going to stop just handing over bulletin board material to South Carolina for these games? Like the fact that Beamer's addressing in the postgame, yeah, and somebody brought up the fact that Beamer ball isn't a thing or blah, 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 blah. We're not talking about Auburn right now. You know what? We'll start talking about those teams when the host of the shows show up to the actual event.
He's
Get it off the
chat,
screen, I'm on right now.
In the chat.
So
he won't be here.
He's in the chat, but he's like, listen, it's probably about time for communion. If you're at church, get out of here. Thanks, Christopher Satterfield. Anyway, I think you suck. Oh, that's unique and funny. Very original. Anyway, this game yesterday, the biggest thing that South Carolina needed to do was figure out an identity, and they were able to do that. Kentucky's not a good football team. They're not a good football team, but they had a week off coming into this game. Not in a rude way, Stephen. We also saw in this exact weekend a year ago them go on the road as a huge underdog and win against Ole Miss. That was like, think about how you felt as a South Carolina fan going into this game. You get bullied by Vanderbilt. You had multiple opportunities to beat Missouri, couldn't figure out how to tackle Ahmad Hardy. And then you go into this week and you get two running backs that are in the top 10 in the SEC in missed tackles force, both big 215 plus type backs at Kentucky. And you were able to fix up all of your tackling problems. It's also a Kentucky team that had just 2 turnovers this season and had allowed just 3 sacks on the year. You go out and get 6 sacks. You force 4 turnovers. I thought Lenore Sellers was great. They finally ran him. He had 14 carries for 81 yards. He put the cape on multiple times, and he also went 11 of 14 through the air. So, listen, get all, like, I'm not convinced that South Carolina is going to go win 9 games like they did last year, or that them making a bowl game is still in question considering the back half of the schedule. But I just want to remind everyone here that's loving the fact that they get to talk trash to South Carolina for some reason. I didn't know that was such a popular thing to do. Everyone was saying the same thing about this team last year when they were 3-3. They got destroyed at home by Ole Miss and Stephen Willis' team. Like Stephen probably could have played quarterback better than Lenore's that day. 27-3, and then they rip off 6 straight wins. So let's just sit here and also remember that we saw this once before last year. Maybe not be the same team, but it was at least a really, really big one. And the last thing I will say too, if you haven't watched it yet, watching Connor Shaw come out of the cockaboose at the 50-yard line, less than 10 days after he collapsed at his son's football game to pump that crowd, I got chills thinking about it right now. Incredible moment for any fan, even if you don't care about South Carolina.
I'll say real quick on the Gamecocks. I mean, look, they got in the win column in the SEC.
Guy's tired. Tell him to get a 5-hour. Shameless plug. Talking about South Carolina's making you sleepy. Go get a 5-hour. They got tons of flavor. They're coming out with a pumpkin spice flavor. Sorry, Lori, go ahead.
They were a dark horse playoff team before the season, and I think that's kind of out the window now with the 2 early season losses. Can they go on a run though and have a nice finish 9-3, 8-4? I think it's, I could talk myself into it because the Clemson game at the end of the season is, I mean, they should win that one. Coastal Carolina, they should win that one. The tough one is your 3 road trips are at LSU, at Ole Miss, and at A&M, and your remaining home games coming up are at Bama or home for Ole Miss and home for Bama. It's a tough stretch.
One-dimensional LSU. The A&M team that scored 13 points on Auburn yesterday and was in a death match. That's not the right phrasing at all. Was in a cage match with Auburn yesterday. I listen. Crazier things have happened. I mean, the Ole Miss game is the one that is the scariest out of all those.
I think the tough part here, though, is Marler. If they lose, let's say they lose at LSU, then lose to Oklahoma, then lose to Alabama, and this thing starts spiraling, do those Virginia Tech Shane Beamer rumors?
Oh, yeah.
Pop up again,
Yeah, for sure.
So that's all you got? That's all you got on that game?
I'm fired up, dude. Listen, I unlike a lot of I guess, 13 other people that work for this company and cover these teams, we're all here. So let's go talk about those teams since they didn't show up today. It's a tough ask. It's a tough ask. Listen, I get it. You don't want to get up early on a Sunday and risk, run the risk of getting screamed at online. I get it. But we're all here.
Somebody did ask, where is Clint? Man, Clint's here every week, and Georgia gets loses their biggest game of the year, and suddenly no Georgia representation. So, yeah, let's get to it because our guy Zach Blackerby, he's got church every Sunday. Let's hear his thoughts on Auburn.
Hi, friends. Happy Sunday. What a brutal evening for Auburn football. Not just the team, not just the loss, but the state of the program. I mean, this is the loss yesterday. A lot of folks who were on the fence on Hugh Freeze have now shifted to be anti-Freeze. A lot of the folks that were kind of on the fence with Jackson Arnold are now saying, I don't think he's the guy. I don't think he's the guy. I mean, the way you lose that game, the lack of offense, when you have an offensive-minded head coach, when you go out and get one of the more expensive portal quarterbacks, when you have one of the more expensive wide receiving cores in the country, I don't know. Very discouraging over here on the Plains.
Was Zach wearing a disguise? I don't blame him,
dude.
But that beard looked fake and mangy.
Colored beard is a rough look.
Yeah,
I think he might be going into
glasses.
Witness protection or something because Auburn. My gosh, guys! I mean,
I
know it's a tough stretch to go on the road at Oklahoma and on the road at A&M, and they were in both games. But to start the season 0-2, again, the Hugh Freeze Boo Birds are. I mean, they're not going anywhere. This is rough.
I think Auburn Athletic Director John Cohen is going to put a letter out and say, look, there were a lot of problems in that game. First of all, their fans were way too loud. Secondly, we had to travel a long way to get here. We should have gotten like 10 points just for coming over here. Third, the sun was in our eyes a lot. Why can't y'all put up some shade trees? What's wrong with that? I mean, look, there's no doubt that I think they had some hangover from the previous week, but also their offensive line just isn't good. They paid a lot of money from some dudes to come in, and the one dude from Virginia Tech that they paid the most for, he just can't start a play on time. And finally, the Auburn staff was like, if you can't do this, if you can't quit getting these penalties, we just got to take you out. But it was a hollow threat because they were like, if we take him out, we're going to put somebody in that's probably worse. So the best offensive play Auburn had all day was a defensive interception on the dumbest play call Texas A&M may have ever had in the history of their program.
One thing's interesting. I'm trying to figure out who calls third down on Auburn's offense. We need to revisit that at this point because Auburn's offense right now is completely broken. And last I checked, listen, Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss before he was at Auburn, so I'm familiar with riding the roller coaster. But he's supposed to be an offensive guru, and they can't pass block. They can run the ball a little bit. They got some good backs. Jackson Arnold struggling. At this point, you should have put something competent out offensively. Just period.
Yeah, no, I was pissed about the interception mostly because I had my tweet ready to go at 13-3 say, this is your QB guru. This is your offensive guru. This is your self-proclaimed QB whisperer. And I tell you what, Auburn fans better line up right now and go apologize to Peyton Thorne because you guys sat there and talked like he was the reason you guys had an issue. You had a running back in that backfield that averaged over 200 yards in games he was given 20 or more carries. He was arguably the best running back in the SEC. He averaged like 6.7 yards per carry last year. And you never gave him the ball. You know how many 20 carry games he had in his career in 46 games at Auburn? 2. So, like, if you're an offensive guru and you got that guy in the backfield and you've spent the entire year screaming about Peyton Thorne being the problem, you're the problem, dude. And you're seeing it again. You went out and bought Eric Singleton. You got Cam Coleman. Perry Thompson, former 5-star, sitting here like still waiting to develop. Like, and here's the scariest part for Auburn. They've never had an offensive line. Luke, you know this. In the last 15 years, this is the best offensive line they've had in 15 years. And it's still this bad. But you got a kid, Jackson Arnold, who I think has some talent. But he's either not reading defenses. He's definitely holding on to the ball for too long. But there's no adjustments being made from the offense. Hugh Freeze does not warrant the kind of it's my way or the highway attitude at all. You were ran out of town in Ole Miss for every road knows why. You went to Liberty. You started sliding into DMs. You started I mean, it's unbelievable that he came here with this kind of arrogance, in my opinion. I thought this was a perfect fit. A delusional narcissist that goes to a place full of delusional narcissists to say, hey, man, there's just something different about us, though, huh? You guys wouldn't get it. It's different down here. And then hides behind Bible verses and stuff like that. Buddy, you better start praying that they don't have that buyout money ready, because it's embarrassing at this point to not say, you know what, I'm the problem. Let's figure out a way to fix it instead of banging your head against the wall and doing the same stuff. That might be
almost like he's trying to get fired. I mean, honest to God, that's not a bad gig. I mean, you get fired and you get a boatload of money and you go to the house and do whatever you're going to do. But look, the fourth down, 4th and 1. So inexplicably, Auburn had a chance in this game. It's 16-10, and Auburn had a chance because Texas A&M, again, the dumbest play call. Texas A&M fans ought to be irate about that. They missed 2 field goals, and then they throw an interception at the just so bad, so stupid. But it's 16-10. You get to 4th and 1. How do you not tell your quarterback, dude, hot route immediately, slant immediately, or you run it right up the middle, or do something?
3rd and 1, Luke. It was 3rd and 1 before that.
Yeah, how do you take a sack? How do you take a sack?
For the second week in a row, that's how the game ended. That's a quarterback issue for sure. But again, I love what Steven said again. And for those of you who don't get the reference, who's calling the play on 3rd downs? They were 0-12 on 3rd downs. I think they were 0-13 on 3rd and 4th downs combined. But that is pathetic, for one. Maybe it's time to do we talk about how bad Billy Napier is. At least Billy Napier is sacking up and saying, I'm calling the plays. Hugh, call all the plays. Stop trying to pass off the blame and pass off the responsibility on
Hugh is calling all the plays. He just don't want the criticism for calling the plays.
Guys, I want to tell you a stat that I just found. I'm not vouching for it, but it seems right. This comes from an Auburn message board, and kudos to Big Daddy 36830. Not to be confused with Big Daddy 36831.
That's a zip code for sure. What an idiot.
All right. Since Hugh Freeze assumed control of the offense, these are the results. Arkansas, they scored 14 points and lost. Oklahoma, they scored 21 points and lost. Georgia, 13 points and lost. Mizzou, 17 points and lost. Kentucky, 24 points and won. Vandy, 7 points and lost. A&M, 43 points, only 31 in the regulation, and they won. Alabama, 14 points lost. Oklahoma, 17 points and lost. A&M, 10 points and lost. And 7 of those essentially came off a pick six. I mean, I know it ended at the 2, but I mean, I don't know how somebody doesn't go to Hugh Freeze and say, okay, either we can just give you your buyout and everybody move on their merry way, or you let anybody, and I mean anybody else, call the plays.
But Luke, here's the deal, man. He beat Bama twice at another school in the Obama administration. Of course he's got to be the guy.
By the way, Auburn, to your point, they did not convert a single 3rd down on 12 tries yesterday. That's the first time Auburn has had a 3rd down conversion percentage of 0 in a game since the 06 loss to Georgia 19 years ago. So,
good Lord.
It is bad. Look, on the flip side, I will say A&M, I kind of gave them crap for their defense the first 3 weeks. Defense was lights out yesterday. I cannot stand, though, if I was an Auburn fan, my God, how long Jackson Arnold stands back there. Dude, do something. Make a freaking decision. You don't have 8 seconds every drop back to make a decision. It's ridiculous.
Hey, the next thing from the Hugh Freeze playbook, it's going to be Deuce Knight playing quarterback, and they're going to say, "Hey, this true freshman, we're playing for the future. What? We weren't going to win that much this year. We're playing for next year." And Deuce Knight's a very good player, and Ole Miss wanted him very badly, but that is the next move from the Hoosiers.
Dude, I tell you what, you may benefit at this point, and I'm not trying to be funny or say that too deep in the X's and O's. But a lot of times you get those freshman quarterbacks that haven't seen a lot of game action, especially one that they can run. And their first instinct when the pressure comes is to run and not keep their eyes downfield. That may be an improvement at this point from what you're doing, because you have someone that's holding on the ball for way too long. And that's somebody that covers Lenore Sellers for the past year and a half. Love you, Lenore.
Yeah. So what do you guys think is going to happen? I mean, Auburn is 3-2. They still have to play Georgia, Mizzou, at Vandy, and Bama. I mean, is 6-6? Is that where you're putting them?
Feels that way. Liberty Bowl. That's what it feels like. I would say they'd be fighting Arkansas, but they're not fighting Arkansas.
No. Do they play Arkansas?
Yeah, they do.
No, for the Liberty Bowl. I mean,
that would be funny
because Arkansas is not going to the Liberty Bowl.
Hey, I picked Arkansas to beat Notre Dame. That's how
we all did. That was just because the Golden Dome hate.
Let's jump around, guys, because we only have a couple minutes left. But real quick, Tennessee, got to give them some love, finding a way to get out a win in Starkville. But major props to Jeff Lebby and the Bulldogs. Yeah. They put up a hell of a fight. We were kind of all surprised when we saw that line was around a touchdown. It was like, gosh, giving a lot of credit to Mississippi State. The fans brought it. The cowbells were going. Man, just a couple mistakes down the stretch of that game. They were in it. They get to overtime, and I mean, look, Tennessee's run game is they're just good. They can run the football on you, and you know, I say coming into the season, Mississippi State is going to win an SEC game. Yeah, they almost won this one, so at least the rest of the SEC is on alert. Do not take Mississippi State for granted, but Tennessee, good win for them. Gutted one out.
I don't want to like Tennessee deserves a lot of credit. They're undefeated in regulation still. And now they got back a little bit in this game, and it was an incredible fight, I think, from both teams. Aguilar's kind of struggled a little bit at some of the decision making, I think, over the past week or so. Here's the thing, like I don't want to sit here and praise a loss, but Mississippi State does deserve a ton of kudos because it is their 13th straight loss. I know that like it's a heartbreaking way to go out. But I mean, you think about the fact that where they were a couple seasons ago, no one in the country has had to go through what this fan base and team has with losing a coach that unexpectedly passes away before a bowl game. Then you hire somebody, you fire him a year later. And they think about this too. Lebby, an offensive mind, an offensive guru, as Hugh Freeze would call himself. Lebby goes out there and you lose your best two receivers to A&M and Mizzou in the portal. And still, the fight they had yesterday was awesome. But again, also credit Tennessee because they were very, very resilient in a very hostile environment too.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about battered Aggie syndrome,
oh man, Texas
A&M does not do very well against schools from Mississippi, and Mississippi State plays Texas A&M on Saturday.
Oh, the Jackie
Battle of the Maroons. A few other games here to mention. How about Vanderbilt? They were in a dogfight with Utah State for a little while. I kept checking. I'm like, when are they going to pull away? And they did in the second half. They went 55-35, but. Diego Pavia, 5 touchdown passes, rushed for 79 yards and a rushing score. They are absolutely red hot. This ain't your daddy's Vanderbilt, and they're coming into Tuscaloosa, man, feeling themselves.
Well, it's a quarterback who's my daddy's aged Vanderbilt, because Diego Pavia is 57 years old, but he is really awesome. And this team is fun to watch. The tight end is really good too. They just played tough, and Alabama better be ready. And they're already going to be down Quay Russaw. James Smith's going to have to miss the first half because that borderline criminal targeting call. Alabama's got some other injuries, and Alabama's also the team that's going to have to outscore you. I mean, that's such a cliche thing to say, but Alabama's going to have to put a lot of points up. I mean, Vanderbilt has put 121, 122 points up the last 2 games they played or something like that. It's ridiculous. So they're going to be a formidable opponent, and it's going to be a big deal.
They're running the score up on people. This is not like a 5-0 Vanderbilt team that is eking out wins. I mean, like you can sit here and say the competition hasn't been great, whatever, but like they are not eking out wins. Every single win by 20 plus points. I mean, they put up 70 for the first time in 105 years or 107 years last week. That's pretty good right there. Maybe this guy should be on the panel. This guy's pretty funny. But I also think too, the concern here, Luke, is if you're a Bama fan, especially Pavia is going to go out there every single week. He had 5 touchdowns yesterday. That kid is automatic to go complete 67 to 70% of his passes, get you 2 touchdowns, and most of the time not have a turnover along with it, like over the past 2 seasons, right? But more so, they are a physical team. They were a physical team last year against Alabama and ran the football. They stay ahead of the chains. They don't make a ton of mistakes. I'll tell you right now, if Vanderbilt had the ball on 4th and 1 inside the 10, I don't know if Clark Lee kicks the field goal, but if they run the football, they probably get the first down because they will line up and beat you and they did last year against Alabama. So it's been an awesome story, man. I think they've already hit their over too for their season win total.
Yeah,
let me just
like I said, Corey, go all out this weekend and this week. 2 shows a day, Corey.
On Mizzou, they got a win over UMass yesterday. Nobody watched it. They improved to 5-0. Ahmad Hardy with his 5th straight 100-yard rushing game. He has been awesome. They get a bye week, and then they are playing Bama in Mizzou. So Bama's next 2 weeks are game day home against Vandy and at Mizzou, which is going to be a tough one. So
and then Tennessee at home.
Yeah, so there's no rest for the weary for Alabama, but I just bring that up because Mizzou, God, they still don't leave their stadium for another couple of weeks. It's insane.
Yeah, well, and not to make it about Bama because Mizzou deserves a ton of credit. I saw somebody a while ago in the comments say, why can't we get any Ahmad Hardy Heisman talk going? Like, in my eyes, that talk started 2 weeks ago. This kid has been awesome. If you didn't see it coming, that's on you because you didn't want to pay attention to Mizzou, like a lot of SEC fans really never want to do. But like the writing's on the wall, it was going into the season. Like a running back at Mizzou has finished in the top 4 in the SEC in rushing every year that Drink's been there, including 2 guys that I think led the entire conference in rushing. So what he's doing right now, 7 yards a carry, 146 yards a game, 9 touchdowns. Man, like he deserves to be squarely in the middle of the Heisman race, even though we haven't hit October yet.
He is Caden Proctor carrying the football.
He's actually Cody Schrader carrying the football. That's what Drink is recreating. And whenever Mizzou has that with that stretch zone that Drink likes to run, Missouri becomes so good if they're just okay at quarterback. And Bo Perbula right now has been very good.
And at least Alabama does really well against running backs who are very strong. And oh God.
Last one, guys, the one we didn't touch on, that Notre Dame Arkansas game. It was the early game, and my God, did that thing get out of hand in a hurry as Arkansas gets steamrolled 56-13. They are now 2-3, and I think Sam Pittman is dead man walking. The question is, does he make it to the end of the year? And kind of this is a race now. You got Billy Napier at Florida, you got Sam Pittman at Arkansas, and I think let's throw Mark Stoops in there at Kentucky. It's like a horse race. Who's going to be the first to get fired? I don't know if all 3 guys – I think all 3 guys are gone before the year ends.
That sucks, man. It felt like very early they had a chance to roll over and die, and it was going to be interesting to see if they would. We all love Sam Pittman. I wish he had a job forever. It's probably time to move on. Also, everyone keeps making a big deal out of the buyout. The buyout's interesting, but that's it. Like it's 6.9 – versus 9.8 million versus like what they're not going to wait 3 games, I don't think, to see if they turn around so they can save less than $3 million. Not in like this day and age of college sports. That's nothing, especially with what Arkansas has. So I think they'll probably move on from him. But I mean, credit to Notre Dame on the road. That was an impressive win. But that last 2 touchdowns and like a minute and a half left in the first half was about the most depressing thing I think imaginable for Arkansas fans. That was awful.
I have 2 words when it comes to that buyout and a hyphen. Walmart. Yeah. They can buy him out and then buy his children out just for the heck of it. So, I mean, I don't think the buyout should be a problem. The catch is going to be and there apparently is some kind of wording in the contract that makes this difficult. If Bobby Petrino can take over, he can maybe take over as an interim, but not ever be a permanent coach again. There's something weird in there I heard about this morning. But you all knew this was coming. I mean, Bobby Petrino somehow is going to worm his way to the top of this ladder. And, I don't know he's probably not a long-term solution or anything. But if I'm Arkansas, I call Kirk Cignetti and just say, listen, you come over here and you can get all the Walmart money you want. Just bring your bad stuff on and let's see what happens.
Yeah. The coach that would be the perfect fit to me and would actually scare the heck out of me as an Ole Miss fan would be John Sumrall going to into Arkansas.
Gus Malzahn.
No, they've never hired Gus because Gus has like strung them along multiple times. I heard John talking about that. But it's interesting because it's the Q words happened in Fayetteville, and that game against Notre Dame, you never quit if you're a Southern football team against Notre Dame. Never. And it just up and down the field. It was almost one of those things. I think it was 2011 when Ole Miss played LSU. With 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, LSU took a knee and got in the victory formation to quit scoring and just ran out the clock. That was what happened on the Hill against Notre Dame. They just quit scoring because they didn't want to. Sam Pittman's a heck of a guy, but he's not going to lose his job until Hunter Yurachek loses his job. And because Hernan Yurachek is not going to have the benefit of hiring the next coach at Arkansas.
No.
That is passed.
Real quick, guys. Mike Gundy, that'd be an interesting one. I think he'd be good at Arkansas.
I'd be in for that. Let him coach the rest of this season. Who cares at this point?
Yeah. Real quick, I'll say this. A few people in the comments saying, is John Neighbors okay? Look, John Neighbors expected this, so he's not. He's totally fine.
Okay.
It's unrelated to the game, but he's not okay.
You can't kill something that's already dead inside.
It would be the other way if he thought Arkansas was going to beat Notre Dame, which he said was not going to happen. Yeah. So it played out as expected. I mean, the interesting part is if you fire Pittman and make Petrino the interim coach, defense is the problem. I mean, I know the offense didn't do a ton, but at least through the first few weeks, offense was the least of your problems. It's the defense. Travis Williams, this might be the worst defense in the SEC, hands down. So
they're awful. They're like 2023 LSU bad. I mean, they are really, really bad. Or 2020 LSU even. Like they are really bad. And I'd say that the thing that's so weird too is I finally get where Neighbors is coming from a little bit, because every time, even early on in that game, when they had a chance to do anything, drop passes, dropped interception, another drop pass. I mean, like it's just it's frustrating for sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, go ahead, Steven.
It's just sad. I don't think Travis Williams is ever going to coach defensively coordinate again. I think this is a career ender for him.
Real quick, we will be we'll do our squad show later this week. It's kind of a weird week in the SEC. Texas at Florida will be interesting because it's Arch Manning on the road for the first time. Vandy, Alabama will get a lot of the attention. The only other one, Mississippi State A&M, which you guys kind of said, that's kind of gathered some interest now because of Mississippi State and their offense, and Kentucky at Georgia. I mean, that should be a get-right game for Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs. But and Kent State plays Oklahoma, which, okay, no John Mateer. It kind of is whatever. So kind of a dud week coming up in the SEC, but maybe there'll be some sneaky good games to react to. Any closing thoughts from you guys before we wrap up?
Nope.
See you in Atlanta.
Yeah, don't drink bleach either. That's not a good idea. See you guys
See ya.
later in the week.